These old ladies should have read the fine print before trusting me with their life savings. That's what I heard the moment Marcus Pemberton walked into my courtroom. 42 years old. Gray suit that probably cost more than most people make in a month. Gold Rolex catching the light every time he checked it. Hair slicked back like he owned the building. And that smile. That cold smile that said he'd never lost anything important in his entire life. I'm Judge Frank Caprio, and this is Providence Municipal Court. I've seen a lot of people walk through these doors, rich, poor, young, old. But something about this man made my chest tighten before he even opened his mouth. If you believe justice should be equal for everyone, you'll want to see what happens next. My bailiff, Officer Chen, stood at attention near the bench. The gallery was filling up. I could see reporters in the back rows. This wasn't going to be a quiet morning. All rise, Officer Chen called out. Case 2026 TR 84729, the state versus Marcus Pemberton. I took my seat and looked down at the file. Then I looked at the plaintiff's table. That's when I saw her, Mrs. Dorothy Finch, 76 years old, thin gray cardigan with a small tear near the sleeve, hands shaking slightly as she held a worn leather purse in her lap. She worked as a school cafeteria cook for 38 years, saved every penny she could. Her husband died 4 years ago from cancer. She was alone now, and according to these documents, she was broke. Next to her sat two other women, Mrs. Helen Kowalski, 81, former librarian, Mrs. Ruth Campbell, 73, retired postal worker. All three looked tired, not just tired from lack of sleep, tired from worry, from fear, from feeling stupid for trusting the wrong person. I cleared my throat. Mr. Pemberton, please step forward. He strolled up like he was walking into a country club, didn't even glance at the three women. His lawyer, a young man in an expensive suit, followed close behind. Good morning, Your Honor, Pemberton said. His voice was smooth, confident, like he practiced it in front of a mirror. Good morning, I replied. Mr. Pemberton, you are here today because these three women have filed complaints against you. They claim you stole their retirement savings while acting as their financial advisor. Do you understand the charges? He smiled. Actually smiled. Your Honor, with all respect, I think there's been a misunderstanding. I provided investment services. If the market didn't perform well, that's not theft, that's capitalism. I heard Mrs. Finch make a small sound, like a wounded animal trying not to cry. I see, I said slowly. Mrs. Finch, would you like to explain what happened? She stood up shakily. Her voice was soft. Your Honor, Mr. Pemberton came to our church. He gave a presentation about helping seniors protect their money. He seemed so nice, so professional. He said he specialized in safe investments for retirees. And what happened after you hired him? I asked gently. I gave him my savings, $84,000, everything my husband and I saved for 40 years. He said he'd put it in safe bonds and funds. He promised I'd earn 4% a year, enough to help with my bills. But that's not what happened. Her eyes filled with tears. 6 months later, I called to check my account. The number he gave me was disconnected. I went to his office. It was empty. I finally tracked him down through his assistant. He told me my money was gone, all of it. He said the investments failed, but when I asked for paperwork, he wouldn't give me any. Pemberton sighed dramatically. Your Honor, Mrs. Finch was advised of the risks. She signed documents acknowledging that investments can lose value. I looked at him carefully. Did you provide her with quarterly statements? I provided all necessary documentation per industry standards. That's not what I asked. Did you send her quarterly statements showing where her money was invested? His jaw tightened slightly. The statements were available through an online portal. Mrs. Finch, do you use computers? I asked. No, Your Honor, I don't own one. I told Mr. Pemberton that. He said it was fine. He said he'd mail me paper copies. And did he? Never. I turned back to Pemberton. Where is Mrs. Finch's money now? Your Honor, I'm not required to disclose specific investment positions in this forum. That's confidential financial information. Something in his tone bothered me. It wasn't just arrogance, it was contempt, like these women were insects annoying him at a picnic. Let me ask you something simpler, I said. How much money do you currently manage for all your clients combined? His lawyer leaned in and whispered something. I don't see how that's relevant, Pemberton said. Humor me. Approximately $12 million. And how much of that is your personal money? I don't invest my own money with clients. That would be a conflict of interest. I let that hang in the air for a moment. So you manage $12 million of other people's money, but you won't invest a single dollar of your own in the same places. It's a matter of professional boundaries, Your Honor. Mrs. Kowalski stood up suddenly. Her voice cracked. He bought a boat, a 50-foot yacht. I saw it in the marina last month. He named it Easy Money. The gallery stirred. Whispers spread like wildfire. Pemberton's face flushed. My personal purchases are not on trial here. Actually, I said quietly, they might be. Mrs. Kowalski, when exactly did you see this boat? July. I was visiting my grandson. We walked past the marina. There it was, big blue letters. Easy Money, and Mr. Pemberton's name right below it. I looked at the file again. According to these documents, you told your clients their money was lost in May. You bought a yacht in July? I have other income sources, Pemberton snapped. I run a successful business. Officer Chen, I said, do we have the financial records I requested? Yes, Your Honor. Chen handed me a folder. I opened it slowly. Bank statements, credit card bills, marina receipts. Mr. Pemberton, this receipt shows you purchased that yacht for $420,000, cash payment, on July 15th, 2 months after telling Mrs. Finch her money was gone. Coincidence, he said, but his voice was harder now, less smooth. Let me show you something else. I held up a printed text message. This is a conversation between you and someone named Derek Marsh, June 3rd. You wrote, and I quote, just closed 3 more widow accounts. These old church ladies never ask questions. Easiest money I ever made. The courtroom exploded. Someone gasped. Another person shouted. Pemberton's lawyer grabbed his arm and whispered urgently. That's taken out of context, Pemberton yelled. What context makes that acceptable, I asked. It was a joke, a private joke between friends. A joke about stealing from elderly women. I didn't steal anything. They signed contracts. They accepted risk. Did they accept the risk of you lying about where their money went? I leaned forward. Mr. Pemberton, I have phone records here, calls between you and a man named Victor Chen in Hong Kong. 23 calls in the month of May alone, right when you claim investments were failing. Do you know what Victor Chen does? Silence. He runs luxury goods import business, high-end watches, designer bags, items that hold value, items that can be resold easily, cash businesses, hard to trace. I paused. Your bank records show wire transfers to his company totaling $600,000, money withdrawn from accounts belonging to Mrs. Finch, Mrs. Kowalski, and Mrs. Campbell. Pemberton's face went white, then red. You had no right to investigate my private finances. I had every right when fraud allegations were filed. These women came to me. They did what they were supposed to do. They trusted the system. They trusted the law. They trusted me to find the truth. This is harassment, he shouted. I have connections. My uncle is a state senator. My father plays golf with the mayor. You can't just... I can't what? I asked quietly. You can't treat me like some common criminal. Do you know who I am? I know exactly who you are. He stepped closer to the bench. Too close. Then you know I have lawyers. Real lawyers. Not whatever public defender circus you're used to. I'll have your job. I'll make sure you never sit on a bench again. Officer Chen moved forward slightly. The room went dead quiet. Are you threatening me? I asked. I'm promising you, you're making a mistake. I sat back in my chair. Mrs. Finch, How much money do you have left in your savings account right now? Her voice was barely a whisper. $342. How do you pay rent? I moved in with my daughter. I couldn't afford my apartment anymore. Mrs. Campbell, what about you? She stood slowly. I have about $800. I'm eating one meal a day to make it stretch. I stopped taking 2 of my medications because I can't afford them. Pemberton rolled his eyes. Oh, here comes the sob story. And that's when he said it. Listen, Your Honor, if these old bats were too stupid to understand basic investing, that's not my problem. They're probably going to die soon anyway. Why should I care if they eat cat food for their last few years? I earned that money. I worked hard to build relationships with these people. That takes skill. That takes effort. They got exactly what they paid for. A free education in trusting the wrong person. 10 seconds. That's how long the silence lasted. 10 seconds where nobody moved, nobody breathed. Even Pemberton seemed to realize he'd crossed a line he couldn't uncross. Then the gallery erupted. Someone shouted. A man in the back stood up angrily. Officer Chen called for order. The court reporter's hands froze over her keys. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger. Not yet. Something deeper. Something that comes from seeing exactly who a person really is behind all the expensive clothes and practiced smiles. Mr. Pemberton, I said. My voice was calm, too calm. Did you just call these women old bats in my courtroom? He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. I was speaking rhetorically. And did you just say you don't care if they eat cat food? Your Honor, I was frustrated. People say things when they're frustrated. People do say things, I agreed, and those things reveal who they really are. I stood up slowly. Marcus Pemberton, look at me. He looked up. The arrogance was cracking. I could see fear creeping in around the edges. Do you know what I see when I look at you? I asked. I see a man who was given every advantage, good education, supportive family, opportunities most people never get. And you used all of that to prey on people who had nothing but trust. I'm not finished. My voice was sharp now. Mrs. Finch worked 38 years serving food to children. Do you know what that pays? Barely anything. But she did it with dignity. She saved every penny. She trusted her husband's memory enough to believe that somewhere, somehow, there were still good people in the world who would help her protect what they built together. Pemberton looked away. Mrs. Kowalski spent 40 years helping people find books, helping students with homework, building a community, one library card at a time. Mrs. Campbell delivered mail in rain, snow, heat, and cold for 3 decades. 3 women who gave their lives to serving others. I picked up the text message again. And you called them easy money. You joked about taking advantage of church ladies. You bought a yacht with their retirement funds and named it easy money, like it was all a big game. Your Honor, please. Marcus, look at them. I pointed to the 3 women. Look at what you did. Look at what you took from them. Not just money, hope, security, the belief that hard work and saving matters. You took the one thing they had left and turned it into a down payment on your ego. His hands were shaking now. You told me they'll die soon anyway, I continued. Like that makes it okay. Like their lives don't matter because they're old. Do you know what dying broke feels like, Marcus? It feels like every choice you made was wrong. Every sacrifice was pointless. Every year of hard work was wasted. It feels like the world chewed you up and spit you out and laughed at you for believing in fairness. I didn't mean, yes, you did. You meant every word. And now I'm going to show you what accountability looks like. I picked up my gavel. Marcus Pemberton, you are hereby ordered to repay every cent you stole. Mrs. Finch will receive $84,000. Mrs. Kowalski will receive $91,000. Mrs. Campbell will receive $76,000. Total, $251,000. You will pay this amount in full within 30 days. His lawyer jumped up. Your Honor, my client doesn't have that kind of liquid assets. Then sell the yacht. I didn't blink. Sell the watch, sell the car, sell everything you bought with blood money until these women get every penny back. And that's just the beginning. I looked at my notes. Additionally, you will pay a fine of $100,000 to the state for consumer fraud. Your financial advisory license is permanently revoked. You will never work in finance again. Not in Rhode Island. Not anywhere if I can help it. But that's my career. Pemberton's voice cracked. You should have thought about that before you called your clients old bats. Now we get to the community service portion. You will complete 1,000 hours of community service, not all at once, every Saturday and Sunday for the next year. And here's where it gets specific, Marcus. I leaned forward. You will work at St. Mary's Kitchen, the soup kitchen on Broad Street. You will serve food to people who are struggling, people who can't afford meals, people who live every day with the kind of fear you inflicted on these women. You'll report at 6 a.m. every weekend. You'll prep food, you'll serve, you'll clean, you'll wear an apron with your name on it, and you'll do it with a smile. Your Honor, that's degrading. No, Marcus, degrading is stealing from widows. This is education. I wasn't done. You'll also write a personal apology letter to each of these women, handwritten, minimum 500 words each, not generic, not copy and paste. You'll explain exactly what you did, why it was wrong, and how you plan to be a better person. They get to decide if they accept it, and if they don't, you write another one. His lawyer tried again. Your Honor, this is excessive. I'm not finished. Mr. Pemberton will also create and deliver a presentation about financial elder abuse. He'll present it to at least 10 community groups over the next year. Senior centers, churches, community centers. He'll explain how scammers operate, how to spot warning signs, how to protect yourself. Each presentation will be supervised by a court-appointed monitor to ensure he's actually helping, not networking for his next scam. The courtroom was silent now. Even the reporters had stopped writing to just listen. And one more thing, I said. You insulted these women in my courtroom. You showed contempt for this process. That's a separate offense. Officer Chen, please take Mr. Pemberton into custody for contempt of court. What? Pemberton backed up. You can't. I can, and I am. 30 days in jail. You'll serve it on weekends, so you don't miss your new job serving soup. Every Friday evening, you'll report to the county facility. Every Sunday evening, you'll be released. 10 consecutive weekends. While you're there, you can think about why respecting people matters. Officer Chen stepped forward with handcuffs. This is insane, Pemberton shouted. I want to appeal. You're welcome to appeal, I said calmly. But the contempt charge starts now. Officer Chen. The handcuffs clicked. Marcus Pemberton, in his expensive suit and designer watch, was led out of the courtroom. He was crying now, real tears, not from sadness, from rage and shock and the sudden realization that his money and connections couldn't save him. The three women sat together holding hands. I looked at them. Mrs. Finch, Mrs. Kowalski, Mrs. Campbell, you did everything right. You worked hard. You saved. You trusted. And someone betrayed that trust. But I want you to know something. The law is supposed to protect people like you, not people like him. Today, it did. Mrs. Finch stood up slowly. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you. No thanks needed. This is what justice looks like. 6 months later, Officer Chen brought me a follow-up report. Marcus Pemberton had sold his yacht, his luxury car, and most of his possessions. All three women had been repaid in full. He'd completed 200 hours of community service so far. The supervisor at St. Mary's Kitchen noted that he was punctual and quiet. Not friendly, but compliant. The apology letters had been accepted after second drafts. Mrs. Finch told the court monitor that while she didn't forgive him, she appreciated that he finally seemed to understand what he'd taken from her. He'd given 3 community presentations so far. Attendance was good. People asked questions. He answered them honestly. One senior center director wrote that while Mr. Pemberton was clearly uncomfortable, the information was valuable, and several attendees mentioned they'd spotted red flags in their own financial situations afterward. But here's what stuck with me most. At his 8th weekend in jail, Pemberton asked to speak with me. Officer Chen brought him to my chambers in handcuffs. What is it? I asked. He looked different, thinner, tired, older. I wanted to say, I'm sorry. Tell that to the women you stole from. I did. In the letters. But I wanted to say it to you too. He paused. You were right. About all of it. I thought I was smart. I thought they were just easy targets. I never thought about them as real people with real lives. I didn't respond immediately. I know you probably don't believe me, he continued, but working at that soup kitchen, seeing people who actually have nothing, it changed something. I can't explain it. You don't need to explain it to me, I said. You need to live it, every single day for the rest of your life. He nodded slowly. I will, I promise. I never know if people really change. I've been a judge long enough to see plenty of repeat offenders, people who say all the right things in court and then go right back to their old ways. But I also know this, every once in a while, someone gets knocked down hard enough that they finally look up and see the sky. They realize they've been crawling in the dirt for so long that they forgot what standing tall felt like. Maybe Marcus Pemberton learned that lesson. Maybe he didn't. But 3 elderly women got their money back. They got their dignity back. They got to see that sometimes, just sometimes, the system works for people who need it most. I sat alone in my courtroom after everyone left. The afternoon light came through the windows. It was quiet, peaceful. This job isn't about being harsh. It's not about revenge. It's about balance. It's about making sure that when someone does wrong, they face consequences that actually mean something, not just fines they can pay and forget, not just slaps on the wrist that teach nothing, real consequences, the kind that make you look in the mirror and face who you really are. Mrs. Finch went back to her daughter's house with her savings restored. Mrs. Kowalski started taking her medications again. Mrs. Campbell moved into a better apartment, and somewhere in Providence, a man who thought he was above the law learned that nobody is. That's justice, not perfect, not always pretty, but real, and real is all we can hope for. I picked up my gavel and set it back in its place. Another day in Providence Municipal Court. Another chance to remind people that dignity matters, that respect matters, that every person who walks through these doors deserves to be seen as a full human being, not a target, not a number, not easy money. Tomorrow there will be another case, another person who needs help, another situation that needs balance. But today, 3 women went home knowing that their lives mattered. And that's enough.